I was able to stack up 11,200 points for search supply drops during a close scrutiny event on Buried City. Now, in order to achieve this type of score, you actually have to exploit a bug that's currently in the game. So I'm not a big fan of putting out walkthroughs that cover using bugs to advantages, but it is the only option for stacking up this kind of a score. And I did do the research by trying out every variation on every other map, and it's not even close to what you can do on Buried City. For your equipment, you don't need to pack a whole lot, but do keep in mind this is the close scrutiny event, so you probably want to bring something like a photoelectric cloak, as well as some zip lines and some adrenaline shots to make sure you can move around the map super quick. Don't forget you can bring a Raider hatch key and get yourself out to Speranza safely through that method. I definitely overpacked by bringing a Ven 4 and a Hullcracker 4, which I ended up losing a round after the one that I got the score in. So don't bring anything too expensive because this is the close scrutiny event and rats do be routing sometimes. Now, I've been doing supply drops on Buried City since the game released, and I really like doing it on Buried City because you can essentially see every supply drop location from anywhere high on the map. The map is super small and you can cover all supply drop locations really quick. So up front, I'm going to walk you through just what you need to think about for this actual challenge. And then at the back of the video, I'm going to give you every single supply drop location so you can use that for your reference when you're doing your run. Now, this challenge is ultra simple. It might be the easiest challenge in the game. All you need to do is locate the radio beacons that are scattered around the map and interact with it once you get to it. The radio beacons can be found by a light that's on the top of the beacon itself, which you can see from pretty much anywhere on the map. Once you get there, interact with the console, and after about a 5-second interaction, you will fire a flare and a supply drop will drop in. Once you've done that, you will be awarded 1,600 points during a 2x event for calling in the supply drop. This challenge used to be related to searching the supply drop itself, but for some reason it's been changed this season, and the only way you get points is if you're the player that calls it in. So, as you are doing this challenge, keep an eye out for other supply drop flares being fired off from different parts of the map. This will essentially mean that you are losing potential points, and because you have to exploit a bug, it could be more than just a single supply drop's worth of points. Now, when I talk about exploiting a bug, what I mean is that for some supply drops on this map, you can call in a supply drop twice. Once you finish interacting with the console, there will still be another interact prompt for you to use, and if you do interact with it again, you'll fire off a second flare and be rewarded a second set of points. Normally, this challenge is essentially hard locked at about 9,600 points, but because of the bug and the double supply drops, you can get it up much higher during this trials week. While you probably won't need to use it, you can also see the supply drop markers on your map when you open your map. It won't show from a distance. It's just like the ARC probes and the ARC couriers. It will only appear on your map once you're within a certain distance, but sometimes it can help you in figuring out whether or not a supply drop is at a location that you're searching for. And then lastly, there is one bugged supply drop this week. The gas station supply drop is not able to be interacted with, so you won't be able to get points if that supply drop is in your round. If you see that supply drop, I recommend leaving and requeuing, or just accepting that you're going to lose the 1,600 to 3,200 points, depending on how your RNG shakes out for the double supply drop beacons. Now, beyond that, there isn't a ton more to this challenge. It really is just a process of moving around the map and firing off all the supply drop beacons and stacking up your score. Now, as promised at the beginning of the video, here is every single supply drop location on Buried City for you to look for. In each round that you do, you will get anywhere from 4 to 5 supply drops at any one of these 9 different locations. One beacon can be found on the roof of the Plaza Rosa buildings. One beacon can be found on top of the Piazza Arbusto houses. One beacon can be found in the middle of the freeway. One beacon can be found on top of the Grandioso apartment. One beacon can be found above a zip line on top of Piazza Roma. One beacon can be found on the roof of the library. One beacon can be found on top of the research building. One beacon can be found on top of the parking garage. And then lastly, the beacon that doesn't work is on top of the gas station. Once you've found enough supply drops and you're happy with your score, head back to Speranza, collect any loot if you haven't already, and watch your score fly up the leaderboard. That's going to be it for me today, y'all. Thanks for watching.